Alright, hey everyone, GratuiTous from itsgratuitous.com. In this video, I want to talk to you about what can the M Audio Oxygen Pro template for FL Studio, what can it actually do, right? I talk about this drum pad workflow. In this video, I want to talk about it more in depth, okay? So let's just get right into it. So we're going to be talking about the channel rack, the mixer, as well as the browser, and a new beta feature in version 3. I'm currently still testing it, but it's available to you if you want to try it out. It's the push to enter knob. You can start moving it around and start navigating FL Studio off of that a little bit. Okay, now the first one we will focus on is the channel rack. So we are going to hop into FL Studio, right? We'll go into FL Studio and we'll do all that stuff. But I first just want to break down the channel rack a little bit more. So inside the channel rack, off of the drum pad layout, so again, I told you for the Oxygen Pro template, there's two versions. There's version 1, which is just a basic FL Studio MIDI keyboard, but I don't use my drum pads when I'm making beats. So I've turned them into being able to navigate FL Studio. So off of these drum pads, this is the latest version, version 3.0, we can open and close plugins, we can change plugin presets, we can mute channels, we can dump to score log, all right? And let's just break that down, okay? All right, so we are in the channel rack. I have a couple plugins open. I have FL Keys, Nexus, Silent One, Flex, Harmor, and then just a sampler channel. And so you can see off of my MIDI keyboard, I am in preset mode, and I can go up and down off of the MIDI keyboard, okay? So if I open up the FL Keys off of the drum pads, I can change the presets. Change it, so. Okay, change preset. Okay, and I can close that plugin. I can go to Nexus, let's say, load it up, and as you can see, I can go up and down. I can select, the keyboard's there, but I'll bring it down here. But you can see I can select my different stuff here. I can select it. I'm an EDM drop piano. Okay, change the preset. Okay, a little low. I can go to different categories. So you can see I'm making, whatever I want here. I go up and down, and this is all off of the drum pads. So as I'm making beats, I don't have to go to my mouse so much, and it's just a really, really nice thing. You can also hold down the drum pad and it can navigate, okay? So let's just go to like the grand piano, and then I'll close the plugin after this. Okay, so let's close the plugin. I do that with this pad right here. And one thing I forgot to share with you is if you come to itsgratuitous.com to the help area, you come here to the Oxygen Pro, you're going to come down here to the drum pad layout, all right? And so if you are ever confused on how the drum pad layout goes, just visit this page, and here is the drum pad layout, and it sticks to the top of the page for you. And as you scroll, you can see what each drum pad does. So for example, if we are in a menu window or if we are in the channel rack, you just simply follow the numbers and that's what it does. So, you can move up, down, open the generator. Okay. So again, that is itsgratuitous.com, help area. Go to the Oxygen Pro, and that's the drum pad. Okay, so I'm going to go to Silent One. Now, every single plugin is a little bit different how we change presets, and if the actual plugin supports it. So not all plugins do, and that's kind of out of my control. But you can see I can change presets here in Silent One, right? You can just see that they're all navigating. So right now I'm in this ARP. Go to another one. Okay, another one. And so this just allows us to keep our hands right here as we're playing our presets, okay? Also, you can see I have the volume right here. So this slider right here, I use for volume all the time, because if I open up a generator and I want to start playing my melodies, sometimes something's too quiet or too loud, and that really can influence or harm your ability to make a catchy melody. So I can instantly access the volume right here, and I've set that up for all of my supported plugins, okay? Great. So again, I can close it just like that. I can go to a different plugin. So let's go to Flex. Now, I will quickly talk about the push to enter knob. So you can change presets by simply just rotating the push to enter knob. And as you can see, Flex is changing its presets. But what you'll notice is it loads the preset right away. So whether you like that or not, but I'm personally just like the drum pads. So I go up and down. You can see it's not actually selecting. You actually have to hit the enter. So this third pad is enter. And so I go to a different preset. So I can actually go over to the banks, right? So, you know, if you want to go to like pianos, strings, winds. So again, this is all off the drum pads, and it just gives such a cool workflow that you're just making music rather than always going to your mouse. These top two pads are what go from the categories essentially. So you know, on the left you have your packs, and then you will see this little line under packs. It's going to go to the presets, okay? And that's just off the top two drum pads here. So let's just say we are in the pianos. Go over to the presets, and I can just select whatever I want. Let's go to like piano pad. So again, I can close that. And then let's go to Harmor. So Harmor is a native FL Studio plugin, and so if we change our presets, you can see it works really, really good. Or you can use the push to enter knob. You can just kind of go through presets that way too. Again, that is beta. It's kind of a little buggy. Like I haven't had time to test it. The drum pads are pretty rock solid, so we can close that again off of the drum pad. And now here is the sampler, so we'll load that up. And if you hit the enter again, it would actually trigger a sound. So let me load actually a sound into there. We'll just go for like a clap. Okay, so here's the clap. So again, I can go to my channel rack, I open it up, and I can play the sound. We can also kind of go through the different sub-menus, but I haven't set up the knobs to control anything in here because most of the time I'm going to use my mouse for this kind of stuff. This is a little bit more technical. All right, so I showed you how to open and close the plugins, how to change the presets. As we go up and down, you can mute sounds. You just hit the fourth pad here. This one's close. Usually it's closed, but you can see I'm like muting sounds. All right, so sometimes this is useful if you are, you know, making your beats. Muting sounds is a good way to see what problem sounds are that are clogging up the mix. And again, you can do that off of there. Now this is a really powerful one. This one is the, let's just go back here quickly. So again, I showed you open, close plugins, change the plugin presets. I just showed you mute channels. I want to quickly show you dump score log. So if you don't know what this feature is in FL Studio, it is right here in tools and dump score log to selected patterns, okay? So a lot of times when I'm making beats, I forget to hit record, right? So if I hit record, you can see it turns on and off, right? But sometimes like you play a really catchy melody, like, and you're just like, oh, like, how do I get that back? And that's what dump score log does. But instead of me taking the mouse, coming up here to tools, like it takes so long, right? So you can just simply hit one button on the MIDI keyboard here, and there is the sounds that we just played. So again, that is the channel rack. That's pretty much all the features of the drum pads. So, you know, opening up and closing the plugins is really powerful. Changing the plugin presets. And again, also there is that volume knob there that I use a lot in the plugins. So for example, if I load up like Nexus, you can see in the output right here. Okay, so, you know, I can turn up and down. And this is to do with the plugin, with the global links file. And that's a new feature that you get in Oxygen Pro version 3. That file is my file that I'm giving to you. Super, super valuable. And like I said, if I'm playing my melodies, a lot of times I want to be able to turn up and down that volume. And this very first slider is what I do for that. Okay. And again, let's just go to, let's say, Harmor. You can see I have the volume set up there as well. We'll close that. We go to, I think this one was Silence 1, yep. And here's like the volume right here. So again, this is the slider. And you can't see it on camera, but the other two sliders I actually have set up for the A and B. And I have found this is really useful as I'm playing my melodies. Sometimes you can kind of mix in different, you know, different timbre of the sound, right? So again, it's all just workflow, and it's all off of the MIDI keyboard. And it's really helped me, like, you know, just kind of little quick wins kind of thing. Okay, so that is the channel rack. Now we're going to go to the mixer. The mixer is much more involved, so I'll try to go through it really, really quick, but we will look at the mixer. So again, we can open and close plugins. We can enable and disable effects of that insert. You can mute and solo a single mixer insert. We can open presets on the mixer, and we can also route. And so off of the drum pads, so again, I can navigate, and also you can go to the channel rack with this arrow. So that's the channel rack, and this one is the mixer. So if you're ever, you know, you have your hands up here, you want to go to that mixer, you just hit this bottom arrow, and now you're in the mixer, and you can quickly go to, let's say, insert 2. I want to open up, let's say, Pro C2. So I hit that, there it is. And because I've given you my global links file, you get this experience. Check this out. I can quickly get my hands on mixing. I hit this purple button, which is saving the state. If you're new to producing, A and B is really, really important. It's something that you really want to practice and essentially use all the time. And so a lot of these plugins, if I move the knobs, you can see I can copy and then we can flip in between two states. So let's say the attack's here and I go to the B, we are flipping in between two instances of this plugin to decide what we like to hear the best. Okay, because audio is different than other industries. Like we have to hear, we don't get to see. And so when you can flip between two states, which have a fair volume balance, this is a really, really awesome way to mix. But some plugins do not give you the option to do A and B, and if they do, sometimes we're not able to access that from a MIDI keyboard, if that makes sense. Like we always have to go to our mouse to do that. So FL Studio has the option to store in spare state and flip with spare state. So in other words, every single plugin, whether it is an audio effect or if it's a generator, we can flip between the state. And so I have that set up off of the MIDI keyboard. So check this out, okay? So I'm going to, let's say, compress this really hard. I'm going to hit this purple button and you're going to see it's going to save the state. So now if I want to change my plugin, however I want, I can flip it. So you can see I can go between two different instances and it's right here off of the MIDI keyboard. Let's say I want to go to the next plugin. You can either hit the back or forward. So it's going to open up Pro Q3. It loads up, and then now, watch this, I can start getting hands-on mixing right here. And let's say I want to save the state, and then let's say we're going to put it over here, and we're going to bring it way down or whatever. You can flip it. You go in between states, and this is how you can get super fast mixing off of your drum pads. Like it's been awesome for me. And again, you guys can get this experience. So to close these plugins, I'm going to close and I'm going to close it. Let's quickly talk about enabling and disabling the plugins. So as you can see, here's the Fruity Blood Overdrive and the EQ. So when you hit this button right here, just look right here, you can see that I can enable and disable this insert. We can solo it out by itself. We can also mute it. Now I want to quickly talk about opening up plugin presets. So let's just go to a new mixer insert. So I'm on 4 here, and I'm just going to hit the purple button, and you can see it instantly opens up the menu and it goes right to our plugin presets, or our mixer presets, sorry. And you can go up and down and you can select whatever you want. So let's just go to like the number 1 here, or sorry, let's just go down here to the, so this is Fab Filter, the Pro MB. Okay, and I'm just going to hit enter and it loads Pro MB onto this mixer insert. You do have to set up your own mixer inserts, your own mixer presets. But once you do, you get this super, super fast workflow. Like you just hit the button, you can load up your presets really, really fast, and then you can get into your hands-on mixing right away. The last one I will quickly share is just how to route sounds to the mixer. So you can do this off of the MIDI keyboard, but it's a little bit cumbersome. But sometimes I do find myself doing this if it's just like one sound, because most of the time when I make a beat, I will highlight everything. I'll come here to the mixer, right click, channel routing, and then I will go route selected channels starting from this track. If you've been using FL Studio for a while, like how to route stuff to the mixer. But let's just say we have just one sound. So I'm just going to right click, I'm going to go file, I'm going to go default. And let's just say we want to route like this concert piano to number 2. So again, we're in the mixer. You simply just hit the green button and it routes it. Okay. So let's go back to our presentation. So again, I showed you to open and close plugins. I showed you how to enable and disable all the effects, how to mute and solo, how to open presets. This was kind of confusing, but yes, we want to route the highlighted sound in the channel rack to the mixer. And I showed you how to do that off of this green button right there, okay? Okay, so let's go to the next one. So now we're going to look at the plugin windows. So I quickly already talked about this. I think we'll just kind of skip over this. So I talked to you about save state and flip state. So again, here is, if we are in a plugin, let's say we are in Nexus, right? And a lot of times I select a preset and it sounds really good in the beat, but maybe I just want to fine tune like the reverb a little bit. But, I'm kind of like, if I touch that reverb, I might mess up the way it sounds in the track, which can be, damaging the track. So let's just say we have our reverb right here, okay? And I do have this set up on the MIDI keyboard where, you can adjust different things, because I do use Nexus a lot, right? I really like Nexus. And so again, you can save the spare state. And then let's just say you're like, okay, do you know what? I want to adjust this low cut a little bit. And again, you can do this off the MIDI keyboard. I'm just going to do it off of the mouse. And instead of me coming here and coming up here and selecting flip with state, again, this just takes so long with the mouse always, right? And it's just about workflow. So what we can do is just off of the MIDI keyboard itself, we can just, again, let's just say let's just say the reverb is just like really clogging up the mix. So I'm going to say to myself, I like the way it sounds, but I want to work on this reverb. I'm just going to save the state. So now I can adjust this. And let's say it's like, okay, did I go too much? I can flip. So you can see I can go in between those two states of this plugin, the exact same preset, the exact same sound. I've just kind of adjusted how it sounds. And this is where we get into mixing, right? The flipping, storing and flipping, which is just like A and B comparison. But again, that's all off of the MIDI keyboard. So we're going to quickly talk about the browser. So I don't really use it too much, but as I was kind of playing around with all this kind of code for MIDI scripting, I thought it was kind of cool. So I threw that in there, okay? So the browser allows you to navigate and play sounds, allows you to add sounds to the channel rack, and open and close sound folders quick. So let me show you how to do that. So how you access the browser. So I showed before these two arrows. So this one is the channel rack. Okay, and this one is the mixer. This white one is the browser. So we hit that and we hop over to the browser, and now you can just go up and down. Okay, and if you want to add a sound, you just hit this button right here and it opens up. Okay, and then if you want to go back to the browser, you just hit this white button. You can, again, select your stuff. You can close the folder, right? You go down to another folder, you can open it up, come down, let's go to let's say shakers, go down to shaker B, and and then again, you can add your sounds in if you want to do that. I usually don't work that way, but I threw it in there because I thought it was kind of cool. I'll quickly talk about the global settings on the MIDI keyboard. So what are global settings? These are settings that it doesn't matter if you're in certain windows. The other stuff I shared with you, like if you are in the channel rack, if you are in the mixer, that stuff only applies if you're in the channel rack, or it only applies if you're in the mixer. But in this case, a global setting, it happens anywhere. So for example, undo, redo, that is just these blue buttons. So this one's undo, this one is redo. We can open up the FL Studio settings. I'll share that with you. We can save the project with this next yellow one. And we can tab right with this one right here. Okay, so let's just go to new pattern. Oh, also that's another thing we can do. We can also navigate our patterns. So you can see right up here, I hit these top ones. If I'm on the channel rack, I hit those and I can go through my different patterns. I use this one actually quite a lot. So let's just say we're on pattern 2 and I'm just gonna click in some sounds. So to undo, you just hit the blue button, okay? And to redo, you hit the other blue button. The yellow on the right opens and closes the FL Studio settings. I find myself in here a lot, right? So it's just a nice quick button that I don't have to go to my typing keyboard and hit F10. I can just come here and off the MIDI keyboard. This one is save. I already have a project that I've saved here, but you will see that it's saving, right? It's saving. This one here also is global, and what it is it's tabbing right. And so how I have this set up is like, let's say we have a bunch of these open up. And so my mindset behind this was, if you were just to be able to tab, so I'm just going to use my typing keyboard, I'm just hitting tab. What I found is a lot of times I would overshoot. In other words, I would tab too much and I'd have to tab all the way back again, and it was kind of annoying. So I have this set up where if you're focused on a plugin window, it won't tab anymore, and you can see it goes plugin focused. This allows you to quickly close plugin windows. So this button right here is close, and then you just keep hitting tab until the next plugin's open, and then you can just kind of close it that way, okay? So this is tab, this one, and it's a global button, so you can see I can tab through all my different windows. Okay, so those are the global buttons. We have undo, redo, open settings, save, as well as tab right. But if we are focused in a plugin window, it will not keep tabbing, and I did that on purpose so that it's focused, and then if you choose to close it, you can. And that is a setting in the premium MIDI script. You can open it up and you can set things to say 1 or 0, save it, and you can reopen FL Studio. There's custom settings in there for you, okay? All right, and the last thing I wanna quickly cover in this presentation with you guys is the beta push to enter knob. And so what that is right here, there's a push to enter knob. So you can push it, or you can rotate it. And for the most part, I tried to stick to the drum pads all along, just because this is something that I don't use to make beats. I use my keys, like I have said many times now, and this has been really, really awesome. And again, just before we cover the push to enter knob, again, you can hold down the drum pads and you can, it will go faster for you if you hold it down. And same like in the mixer and stuff like that, okay? But the push to enter knob, Let's just look at the points here. I have 2 points. So now you can navigate with it, as well as you can change plugins, plugin presets in a different way. So again, I was sharing before, let's say we go to Nexus. So in these third-party plugins, you do have to use like the drum pads, because this is how you select it in these third-party plugins. That's just how they're designed. If you try to use the knob, you will see that some of these plugins don't change that way. But if we go to something like Flex, let's just see if we get Flex here. Okay, so with Flex, you have 2 options. You can use the drum pads to go up and down, and then you can select, or you can actually use the knob and it will just select the next preset. And again, you can navigate with it. So, you can go into the mixer with it now. If we are in the browser, you can go up and down. So again, I can select all that stuff off of the MIDI keyboard too if I want to go to the browser, right? I was just doing my mouse because it's sometimes easier. Channel rack, go up and down. All right, so I think I have covered pretty much everything I want to share with you guys. There is so much with this M Audio Oxygen Pro in FL Studio. And again, this is the M Audio Oxygen Pro FL Studio template by me, GratuiTous. I've worked really hard on this over the years, just kind of fine tuning it as I've gone along. It's given me a really, really cool workflow, whether I'm in the channel rack, the mixer, in plugins, all that kind of stuff. The biggest one for me really is the save state and the flip state. Once you have this right here in front of your hand, you can just set plugins up the way you want, save it, and then you can be really, really aggressive and you can flip between those 2 states. And what's really, really powerful about this is like FL Studio allows you to do it for any plugin. You can see, you can store in spare state. But again, I have this set up where if it's open, let's just hit store in spare state. And let's just change it to, let's say, E-piano. So again, I can flip the state between these 2 presets. Now, what I'm saying here, like that wasn't a good example of like changing presets. What I was more getting at is, let's say you have the E-piano, but maybe, you want to adjust like some treble on it. Okay, so let's just put it full. And let's just say you're like, do you know what? That's kind of a little bit bright. So I'm going to pull it back a little bit and you can flip in between those states. Now, yes, you can do Control and Z to undo, but let's just say let's just go back. Okay, so we pulled back the treble. Let's say we actually want some overdrive. Let's say we want to pull back the decay. Let's say we want to make sure that, there's no panning. So the panning's off. All of this can be switched at once instead of going Control Z like 5 times or whatever, right? Watch, we can flip in between those 2 states. So this has been such an awesome workflow for mixing and getting the exact sound you want. So if you guys have any questions, you guys feel free to send me an email, hi@itsgratuitous.com. This M Audio Oxygen Pro template for FL Studio, it can be purchased at itsgratuitous.com. I hope you guys enjoy it. This was a video about what can it do. So what can the Oxygen Pro template do? And there you go. It's on version 3. You get 2 versions of the template. So this one is the latest version, which is the drum pad layout. But if you don't want this layout, version 1 just gives you a basic MIDI keyboard. Everything just works. You can use like your drum pads for like the kick, the clap, all that stuff. But again, I have chosen to do it for navigation because I use my keys for all that stuff. I use my keys for melodies. If I'm using it for sampling, I still use my keys. I think the keys are just, they're just awesome. It's the same thing as a drum pad. It just feels different. Okay, so again, it's gratuitous.com, M Audio Oxygen Pro template for FL Studio. I hope you enjoyed this presentation about what the Oxygen Pro template can do. If you have questions, feel free to reach out, and I hope you enjoy.